evening from Swansea, wrestling fans. I'm your host, Ben Allison, and you are watching Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast, your one-stop shop for professional wrestling, insight, news, and reviews on a daily basis. It is Friday, August 23rd, 2024, and we are less than 48 hours away from AEW All In London. I'm going to be there live, Chaos is going to be there live, Soul is going to be there live, and David is going to be there live as well. I'm very much hyped for it, but today we are giving our predictions, and I can't just give my predictions on my own. No. I have to have a great panel, and boy, oh boy, do I have one. And let's kick things off with the head of opinions here at Wrestling Republic. Anthony, how are you today?
I'm doing all right. I always love doing these prediction shows. And Ben, remember, when Soul asks to borrow money, because he will spend all his money at All Out, just take some extra cash with you because I think he may need it.
Absolutely. No, I mean, I don't think he bought anything at Dynamite the other day, but at all in, I wouldn't bet on the same thing happening. Not at all. But also joining us today, we have Shad. How are you, Shad?
What is going on, man? As an American, I am envious because I'm sure you guys are going to have a lot of fun this coming weekend. Obviously, the UK crowd is crazy. I saw it on Dynamite. But us Americans over here, we're going to hold the fort down for Wrestling Republic this weekend. You will see me every day this weekend for those in the comments. So, and don't get too annoyed by me, all right?
Absolutely. You guys are going to be holding down the fort. But yeah, it's going to be a fun weekend. It truly will be. But today we've got to give our predictions. And we have numero one Superfly saying happy predictions day for All In to Wrestling Republic. Happy predictions day to you as well, numero one. Make sure to check your predictions in the comments throughout the show. But without further ado, let's talk about the AEW Women's Championship. Let's talk about Toni Storm taking on Mariah May. Now, I don't hide it. I am mad about Mariah. She is an Arsenal fan. I have known her for years, and I think she's going to be the new AEW Women's Champion come the end of this weekend. I think Toni Storm, she's going down, she's getting taken down, and there's going to be a new Women's Champion. But Shard, what do you think? Is it Toni Storm, or are you mad about Mariah?
Oh, I'm going for the glamour Mariah May this coming Sunday. And I'm glad that you called her Phony Storm because I've been saying that for a while too. And I think that's the most appropriate nickname for Marilyn Monroe. So, regardless of that, all jokes aside, kudos to both of these women. This has probably been one of the more historical, like, long term feuds AEW's had in their obviously young company. But especially in regards to the women's division, they've told a great story from the beginning of Mariah May coming in, wanting to be the, I don't know, like the mentee of a mentor, trying to get close to Toni Storm and, eliminate everything that she's doing. And I think how they were able to play off of a lot of the, old films and whatnot. It's been great and it's been enjoyable. And I don't know if we come to an end this Sunday, but I think we do come to the change. And I'll even say to this: if Mariah May does not win on Sunday, I think that may be one of the dumbest calls of booking that AEW can do because I know Toni Storm is over, but with being over, she doesn't need the belt. Mariah May, a young up and coming superstar, getting the AEW Women's Championship, beating Toni Storm within this feud, getting a win also in her home country would be monumental, but it would also add her to the next level of being a top woman in your division. You then put her in the conversations of a Britt Baker, a Toni Storm, or Mercedes Monet, and it means more because this is someone that wasn't a big coveted free agent, as a signing, right? This isn't a former WWE superstar. This is someone who's young, made a name for herself out in Japan and Stardom, and obviously, I'm sure in any promotions prior to that, and really got a footing and became more of a star she is. I think the star power is out the roof, and I think it's time for her to get that moment, become champ. And yeah, man, I'm going for the glamour Mariah May.
I absolutely agree with you. I think it is Mariah's time, and it's an interesting point you make there about, it'd be a mistake if they don't give her the belt, and I agree because it's kind of all of this for nothing. You told us this long story, this great story, in my opinion, and then you're just not giving us the finish. It's
It,
like,
it, and and I want to hope that we're right. I have a weird feeling in my gut, just how AEW
oh.
books sometimes, that they may just be like, "Oh, well, Tony Storm is the over superstar." Don't do it. Don't do that. You literally shoot down all momentum you've created behind this woman by not giving her the title. So I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt, and I'm gonna make that pick. But part of me is just like, I don't know, because I think Clark said it on the Wednesday show with y'all. She grabbed the belt. I remember Anthony and Clark were making a joke about it. It's got the bad luck mantra to it, so hopefully that doesn't happen.
Oh, no, 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 no. I hope you are wrong, Shad. But TL.3118 is saying May is winning. End of discussion. It's time to build up a new face of the women's division. I
Mhm.
agree. And Numero One's got an interesting call here. He is saying that Mariah May will win. But as for Tony, she will get obsessed and crazy about Mariah May. She will get mad about Mariah. I'd love that. It would continue the story, but also
Yeah.
spin it again, so it's still interesting. But, Anthony, what about you? Who are you predicting in this one?
Like Shad said, AEW's booking's kind of out there. It's kind of a weird situation in the first place because technically, feud wise, Mariah is supposed to be the heel. Now, granted, in her home country, she's going to be cheered. It's the Bret Hart is a heel everywhere but Canada scenario. It's kind of weird because Tony's looking for revenge. So if she loses, I don't. I mean, you can go the crazy route. She gets even crazier, but at some point, she's going to beat Mariah then, because at that point you're having her chase it, and you're not going to have her win it back. That's kind of a weird scenario. I honestly think if Mariah wins this, it shouldn't be clean. Somebody, whether Luther or somebody else, comes in, because then you can kind of drag this out. Um, I mean, that's the thing. I wouldn't necessarily give Mariah the win. I'd actually have Tony win it. Mariah gets mad. The feud escalates, and you could do a lights out match. You could do something more violent, because we saw when Mariah turned heel on her, she left her bloody. So I think you could escalate this. So I actually wouldn't give her the win in her hometown, because she's a heel. Technically, she's a heel in this angle. But if you have a feud with Tony and have her definitively beat her in this feud at the end, then I think you made Mariah more than just winning it and then Tony just goes off and feuds with somebody else. Like I think that the smart money is to put it, to keep it on Tony, to eventually give it to her in one shot. I wouldn't have her win on the first go.
I mean, that's also an interesting point, perhaps. Don't do it here, and then when it does happen, she'll actually get booed. I can see that. That is an interesting perspective indeed. But I think definitely we're all in agreement that by the end of the feud, we need to see that title change hands, because
Yes.
otherwise,
Mm-hmm.
otherwise I feel like it's kind of been for nothing. Even though it has got Tony over, not Tony, it's got Mariah over. It's
Mm-hmm.
got Tony over to an extent too. But yeah, we'll have to wait
I,
and see. But
my thing is this also with it, right? And kudos to Tony Storm, but I also think a lot of wrestling fans are under not saying y'all or anything, but like wrestling fans and just the general public are underrating what Mariah May has done for Tony Storm. I don't think
yeah.
Tony Storm is who she is now as this character if there isn't a Mariah May added to the element. If she's just, if you don't add Mariah May to create the story, Tony Storm is like just a gimmick. She's like someone that you could, throw in a 24/7 division if they had one like type of character. It just becomes overly silly where this added character to it. And I think you could make I agree. I think she needs to win the title at some. I think it should be Sunday, but whether she wins it Sunday or not, this is the making of one of the best heels that you can have in that women's division. Because the
Yeah.
glamour, like everything she does with the vignettes to the promos she's cut to that interview, it feels so sinister and so heelish where I like that. Like that's the type of heel that I like a lot as a wrestling fan.
Absolutely, I'll agree with that. And there's one factor which all three of us, are yet to mention, and that is a big factor. In fact, potentially the deciding factor in this title match. And of course, that is the match is happening in Wembley Stadium. Mariah May is an Arsenal fan. She's part of the Arsenal family. And Arsenal, we always win in Wembley. So, uh, it's basically a spoiler, unfortunately, right? We're not a dirt sheet, but we basically spoiled that with that answer. But, guys, now it is time to move on to give our quick fire for the rest of the card. Of course, apart from the main event, which we'll get into a little bit more later on. But the way this is going to work is going to be the exact same as we did for SummerSlam. Everyone is going to have 30 seconds. It's actually 35 seconds, but we always give a little bit of leeway. And yeah, we'll have to, and we got Ethan.Anthony _ in the comments saying, come on, you Gunners, absolutely. But yeah, we're going to kick things off talking about none other than MJF and Will Ospreay. And I will kick us off. I predict that MJF is unfortunately going to retain the belt. I really, really, really want Will Ospreay to win. I'm praying I'm wrong about this, but my gut, my feeling says that he's going to walk out still American champion. They built a new belt. They designed a new belt. I don't see them designing a new belt just for a couple of weeks. As much as I would like Ospreay versus Pac, I think we're getting MJF versus Pac. I think that's going to be the theme. MJF versus a foreign face or heel for the title as it goes on. But, Shad, what about you? Who do you think will be walking out the American champion?
This one's a tough one, right? I think it's as difficult as the last one, where it's hard for me to go against the UK boy. And I know he got his moment last year. I think he gets his moment again this year. I think Will Ospreay avenges the loss, or whatever the circumstance of the last match is. And I think we are going to get the Tiger Driver hit on MJF, the biggest pop of the night, probably besides whatever happens in the main event. I got Will Ospreay beating MJF.
I really hope you are right about that because the pop for him would be insane in Wembley. But what about you, Anthony? Who do you see winning?
Oh, Ben, you don't think AEW would waste some money on a belt? How many talent they have back there they don't use, and it's a lot more than the
That's
belt.
true.
Honestly though, I think from a story perspective, when Max is going in heavy with this American gimmick, I absolutely think MJF should retain. Just the heat that he's going to get, and obviously this feud will probably continue, but I think MJF taking the win would probably mean more for him than Ospreay would. Ospreay's already held that belt, and Ospreay's on for bigger, better things. And there's also the Don Callis factor.
That is a good factor. Maybe he does hit the move, and then the Don Callis costs him anyway. Something like that. That would be great storytelling and very interesting, no doubt about it. Now let's talk about Jack Perry versus Darby Allin. It is in a coffin match, but I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. This storyline might as well be in a coffin for me. I don't know why. I'm just not interested in it. I've not been compelled by it. I just don't know. It's just not hooked me in. But I do think Darby Allin's going to get the win. And we'll have to wait and see where it goes from there, really. For whatever reason, I just don't care for the scapegoat gimmick, if I'm being completely honest. But hopefully Darby Allin wins, and hopefully he finally gets a push or something, because it feels like he's been stuck in mid-card storylines for a long time now. But Shad, what about you? Do you have Darby Allin or Jack Perry winning?
Yeah, this one's difficult because this is Darby Allin's match, right? The coffin drop, coffin match. I feel like it's very tied to it, but I think there's more shelf life with Jack Perry being champion. I don't think Darby necessarily needs this belt. I don't even think Darby really should hold a mid card belt. I think at some point he should kind of get built up and have a big monumental moment for the AW championship. But I think Jack Perry wins within some sort of heel tactic. Something will occur. I got him beating Darby.
Wow, wow, wow. I would. I mean, I don't know how I feel about that, to be honest with you. I'm just not invested at all by this scapegoat character. I'm just not. But Anthony, what about you? Who do you see walking out?
This is one of those situations where I agree with Shad. Darby doesn't need this belt. He's had this belt before. Uh, Jack should retain. However, I think just like last year, he's not going to get what he wants. I mean, last year he got choked backstage, and this year he's probably going to be in a coffin, and Darby's going to get his belt back. Whether or not it's clean, whether or not somebody comes in to help him, I think Jack is going to lose that belt on Sunday.
Do you know, guys, how irrelevant and how little I've cared about this feud when I completely forgot about the fact it was for the TNT Championship?
You know, Darby's kind of like they're like completely different characters, and I honestly think the other guy I'm gonna say is better. But he's like they're like Sami Zayn in a way. Like they just give him the mid card title.
He's the go-to mid-card guy, just like Moxley's the go-to guy for whenever there's a problem with the main title.
Yeah, I'm actually, now I reread it's for the TNT Championship. I'm going to switch up my prediction now. I'm going to go Jack Perry, because no way Darby winning. But, that's a headache in itself. Why is this guy the TNT anyway?
Jack should retain, but he probably won't, knowing how they book.
My final prediction is Jack Perry, but I forgot it's for the title, and I don't.
Y'all don't have me on Thursdays like anymore, like obviously on the weekly basis. So I haven't really talked a lot about Dynamite, but the EVP stuff has really went from something I really love to feeling super flat right now.
They ruined it.
The problem with that whole story, and again, because we're not on it to do this, but honestly, there was no stakes. They did this rivalry with zero stakes, and that's why no one cares. There was no stakes in any of this. You did Team AEW against Team Elite twice with no stakes whatsoever. And then you're like, I don't know why no one cares.
It is true. They really mucked it up, and it's frustrating. But number one is saying Jack Perry retains, and he's also saying Will Ospreay will win. Meanwhile, over on Instagram, TL31 says that the scapegoat will do what he does best, and he will escape. And it's true. It's two of their four pillars as well. We mustn't forget about that one. But now let's move on. Let's move on to the next match. Let's talk about Mercedes Moné versus Dr. Britt Baker, CEO versus DMD for the TBS Championship. I won't forget this one is for a championship. And also, I do care about this match. I'm really looking forward to it. But I didn't put the timer on, but I don't even need 35 seconds. Mercedes Moné is retaining. I can't see another situation. I can't see a situation where she does lose. But what about you, Anthony? Do you have Moné? Do you have CEO? Or do you have DMD?
I mean, I think eventually Britt will win it, but I think... See, that's the problem, because she's been gone for a while, and her health and everything. I could totally see Tony Khan going, Lord, can't give her the belt. But I think Moné makes the most sense to keep it, especially with the Camille factor. But I do think Britt will eventually get it. The same way we talked about Toni Storm and Mariah. I think eventually the belt's going to change hands to that other person.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that too. It is one of those where they've got so many titles in that company, yet they've got so many talents who deserve titles too. It's a bit of a headache to figure it out. But Shad, do you see a new TBS champion?
No, I don't see a new TBS champion. This feud has been a roller coaster for me. I think it did give me a level of excitement this past Wednesday, but I don't see a way that Mercedes loses this match. Britt's another wrestler that I don't know what we do with her at the moment in regards to like positioning, feuds, having a belt. I don't think she feels like she needs the belt. But then what do you do after that? Mercedes as a TBS champ does more for me because no knock on Britt. She's not that great of an in-ring wrestler. Mercedes is an incredible in-ring wrestler. Let her be the TV champ.
Yeah, I agree with you. And no disrespect to Britt indeed, but Mercedes Moné is up there for the best, women's competitor in the world. Yeah. And there's an argument to be made for that, whereas Britt Baker, I think she's a great character. I think she's a brilliant promo, but I don't think in ring she's top 20 for me personally.
Agree 100% on that. That's exactly how I feel. You're talking about legend in women's wrestling history compared to someone who's a great character and will be a Hall of Famer if AEW ever makes one.
Oh, I mean, all these Hall of Fames in wrestling. I wish there was just one which did everything, but that will never happen. I mean, maybe but that's a conversation for another day. But maybe WWE should actually just do everyone in theirs, and just obviously, because by the time any rival promotion stars are about to retire, then they're no longer in that rival promotion. So maybe that's something for WWE to think about, but that's a discussion for another day. Let's now move on. But well, before we do, let me read the comments. Number one is saying Mercedes Moné will retain thanks to a returning Jamie Hayter screwing Britt out of the championship. That would be very interesting indeed. I'd quite like that. But now let's talk about the Casino Gauntlet match, because I'm putting this timer on screen, and as I put it on screen, I'm going to be completely honest, guys. I don't particularly know. Anybody can win these matches, and that's kind of the beauty of it. I mean, of course, I'm going to predict returning Jon Moxley. I'm going to predict Jon Moxley is going to return from his little break. I think he's going to come back, and I think he's going to win this match because, of course, we know the winner will face the champion at All Out. And also, we know that what do they do when there's an emergency and they quickly need somebody? They call Moxley. Better call Mox. But, Anthony, what about you? Who do you see winning the belt? Winning the opportunity.
I don't even know who's in this thing, but my guess would be, and this may be a little spoiler to the eventual main event conversation, but I think Hangman's going to win. I think Hangman makes the most sense for the simple fact that there's a name floating out there that they allegedly signed, but I'm not getting into that. But I think it's Hangman.
Yeah, well, I think that's the one which makes the most sense, but the thing with AEW is sometimes they do things which are really obvious, but then other times they don't do them, and they make you think they're going to do them, and then they don't. And I think this is one of those times. I think this is one of those times where they won't do it, but they could well, and he's probably the favorite going in, I'd say. But Shad, what about you? Who do you see walking away of the Casino Gauntlet, the next challenger?
I don't dislike your pick, because I feel like then that would make. I feel like I would know who your main event pick is, but that's neither here nor there. I'm gonna kind of just go with what Anthony said. I think it's gonna be Hangman Adam Page. Like I said, I don't really know who's all in it, right? They got so many people, so it's a guess I could pick anybody on a roster and they might have a fighter's chance to win. But Hangman makes the most sense. I think there's a ready set match for him at All Out that we'll talk about later.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We'll be getting into that one. I think we've all just made it very, very clear who we're picking in the main event, but we'll get into that in a bit. I will say one thing, though, right, guys? I think the match is very unpredictable, but I think there is one foregone conclusion, and that foregone conclusion is whoever wins pins Evil Uno. Because there's all these names, these great names in this match. And then Evil Uno, who I think is a great character, a great promo. But he's not been on AEW TV in so long. He's there to take the pin. Surely.
I mean, we don't know who else is in this thing. There's plenty of people in the back that are just sitting and catering that they pay, so it could be anybody.
The thing is, they've announced 7 names, and the pinfall can happen at any time. I don't think it'll go over 10 names because of the way the match works. I could be wrong. I don't think it will. So I think maybe there's up to, I guess, 3 surprises. Maybe less.
So
we'll have to wait
Uno
and see.
is in this match, right?
Yeah, they announced 7 of them, and Evil Uno's one of them.
Well, that's the thing, though. He said that, though, but Hangman beat him up. So did he take his spot, like the Rumble,
Hangman was already in it.
Oh, was he? I don't even know.
Yeah,
Why
he was
is
the first
Evil
name announced
Uno in this match. No offense to Evil Uno.
And also, it's the only stipulation ever where it's an advantage to be first. Because Orange Cassidy won a match to earn coming out first, and it makes sense because, of course, the pinfall can happen at any time. So the sooner you get out there, the better chance you theoretically have.
The rest of them don't even get a chance to get out.
Yeah,
in theory, if you pin the first guy, yeah.
And I think some people are saying that's what could happen with Hangman. that he just never gets the chance to come out and he gets even more furious. I mean, I'd be annoyed that I don't get to see him, but listen, it could potentially happen. Now, let's move on. Let's move on to talk about Chris Jericho versus Hook for the for the AFTW Championship. There's too many championships, so this is what I think they should do. These two men should start wrestling. Big Bill should get in the ring. He should big boot both of them. He should grab the title. He should chuck it in the trash. It should never be seen again. Everybody celebrates. Big Bill will become the most over man in London. He already kind of is. Just watch Dynamite, well, just watch Collision, which airs tomorrow night, actually. Slight spoiler. But Big Bill is now the most over guy in the UK for absolutely no reason at all. And I think that should continue by him destroying the FTW Championship. But Shad, who's your pick?
Can we just change the abbreviation and switch places for the the F and the W and make it the WTF title? Because what is the point of this belt at this point, man? This belt it meant something a little cooler back in the day with Taz, and now it's become like a family heirloom, man. I don't get it. If I have to pick a winner, Hook, I guess Hook should win, but the momentum of Hook in this feud has completely destroyed his character for me in AEW. So I don't know. This is a bathroom break.
It absolutely is. But I know it's not for you, Anthony, because I know you're a big fan of this feud, of course.
Oh yeah, I mean the one thing of me not doing the Thursday shows on a regular basis is I don't have to talk about Jericho. Honestly, I don't care about this. For 3 years, he's been fighting for, as Shad said, family heirloom. It's not even an official title. Honestly, give it to Hook because no one else cares about this belt other than him, and I've never liked this Jericho feud, so I'm going to forego my last 10 seconds.
Fair enough, indeed. Because, I mean, to be fair, when it comes to this storyline, there's probably not that much to talk about. But now let's move on to talk about the Tag Team Championships, because there is a three-way for the World Tag Team Championships. We have the Young Bucks versus FTR versus the Acclaimed. Now, I have my thoughts on this storyline. I haven't enjoyed this storyline very much, to be honest with you. I think it's been very lazily booked. And, I mean, I think AEW is in a really good place at the minute, but the one thing which isn't in a good place is their tag team division. That being said, I at least really hope this match, and it should be on paper, will be very entertaining. But I don't see the Young Bucks losing the titles this early, especially with these current gimmicks they have. It wouldn't make much sense to me. But Anthony, perhaps it would make sense for you. Who are you predicting?
I think the Bucks are retaining. It's kind of the continued thread of things not having stakes. In theory, Tony Khan couldn't fire the Bucks storyline wise. Wouldn't he want the tag titles off of them? Wouldn't you? This is their first pay-per-view title defense since winning these titles. It makes no sense whatsoever. But I think the Bucks are going to retain because they're the Bucks. So I think that's what's going to happen here.
Fair enough. What about you, Shad?
This storyline is probably next to Jericho my least favorite build. And crazy to think the year is 2024 and I have no desire to want to see FTR compete for a tag team title. Isn't that wild to even think?
It is. It's crazy.
Same with the Acclaimed, as hot as they were a few years ago. They're the booking for them has been complete trash. I got the Bucks winning as well. I think there's more of a shelf life with them as champions, as characters. I have more faith them trying to somehow fix this storyline with them than the other two. I think it's a waste for those two.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. It's a little bit of a hot take there, but I don't disagree with you at all. We do have a few comments. We have number one Superfly saying Jericho will retain the FTW belt and then destroy it and introduce another title. Please, no more titles. Please, no more.
Don't put that out in the universe, numero one. What is wrong with you?
Not another one.
Because that's what that company needs. Another title. They're already at 20, aren't they, at this point?
What if he gets Daniel Bryan's old environmental title? And then
made out of wood?
The wooden title.
You just might as well just bring out a wooden spoon at this point.
got
It's
meat
the
all over
title
it.
for people who don't have a title. Number one's also saying that the Young Bucks will retain thanks to Okada before Tony Khan comes out to announce the Young Bucks will defend it yet again. That's all out. I could see that happening. That is a solid prediction, but I'd hate it. Shantam in the commentary on Instagram is saying they are becoming the old Bucks now. And TL.3118 is saying, can someone destroy Chris Jericho's gimmick? Well, we've complained for a little bit about AEW, a few things, but now let's talk about something much better. Let's talk about the patriarchy, because I think we should all be thankful for having Christian Cage in our lives, guys. And I think he will retain the Trios Championships in a fatal four-way ladder match against the Bang Bang Gang, House of Black, and an unnamed tag team, which is basically either Pac and the Blackpool Combat Club or Top Flight and Leo Rush, and that will be on Collision this week. I actually know the winner, but I won't spoil it for you guys. But Shard, out of the teams announced so far, or the wild card, who do you think will be walking out with the trio belts?
I don't like being negative about these builds. This is gonna be a fun match though, nonetheless. I do like the teams tied to it. Part of me thinks it's gonna be that wild card team that's gonna win, and I'm going to absolutely hate it because I'm gonna go with the reoccurring theme that it's going to be tied to making moments, like because they like to do. And I think Pat getting a moment might be special. I don't know the results. I think the mismatched team that I don't like is gonna win.
Oh. That will be interesting. But what about you, Anthony? Who do you see walking out with the trios?
I definitely agree with Shad. I think I could totally see it, depending upon what direction they go with other ones, if they don't give their countrymen wins on the show, if they don't give Osprey a win, I could totally see the Pac thing. I think that's a strong possibility. Quite frankly, the trios titles are just like the tag titles with AEW. They don't have that luster. So I don't know if you could build with the patriarchy with it. But maybe Pac, maybe he's a former champion. Maybe they'll run with that.
Yeah. Oh, now you guys have said that. I'm thinking maybe, just maybe, there's a possibility. But hey, those last couple of matches, right?
I honestly don't even know what the build for this storyline is.
Can I legitimately tell you when you talked about this? I didn't even realize this match was on the card.
It's been mostly built on collisions, but
that would
yeah,
explain why I don't watch that.
Yeah, to be fair, a lot of people don't. But it feels like that we were really negative about everything, when in fact it's only those three matches, right? The Jericho one, then the tag and the trios. The rest of the card, I'm very, very excited for.
Very good.
Yeah.
But the one match which I think we are all unanimously excited for, well, it has to be title versus career. Swerve versus Danielson. I'm getting goosebumps as I'm talking about it. Last year, I was excited for MJF versus Adam Cole at All In. But my issue was it didn't feel like there was enough hatred between the two men to main event a stadium event, and I didn't say it at the time as much as I feel like I should have. I feel like I should have criticized it a bit more at the time, to be honest with you, but I think because I was so excited for the event, I didn't. Now, the match itself ended up being fantastic, no doubt about that, but the story, it was not at the point it should be for a stadium show main event, but this storyline absolutely is. You can't get much bigger than a title versus career match, because on one hand, I mean, even Jim Ross is saying this is too early for Swerve to lose. Swerve Strickland should not lose that AEW championship belt yet. He's got, an era to create in AEW. But at the other point, if he does retain, it'll come at the expense of the career of Bryan Danielson. We know Danielson's wrapping up real soon. We know he's having issues with his neck. We know his own daughter wants him to retire. But we also know that there's a show in Washington in October. Now, that's a lot of factors. That's a lot to think about. But because of that Washington show, I am predicting Bryan Danielson will be the new AEW champion, and I think at All Out it will be Danielson versus Moxley for the last time. But Shad, I'm going to go to you first on this one. Who do you see walking out as the AEW champion?
Oof. Let me just say, this is the match that if I care about anything or if I don't care about anything, this is the match that I care about the most this weekend. This is one of the matches I care about the most in AEW because, like you said, the build of it has been great. I think you got two of the best, like my two favorite men's wrestlers on AEW facing off. The young, budding star that is Swerve Strickland. Not even budding, he is a star. And then you have Danielson, who's probably been, these are arguably the two best signings they've made in the history of like the last couple years, if you talk about it, that have made a positive impact. And ooh, man, it's tough because as much as I would love to see Danielson come triumphant, get a moment, add an extra tally to what he's done, especially in AEW. I think he is one of the more selfless people in this industry. I think he does feel the pain and agony, and I feel like going out on top would be in a losing effort and help establish another superstar. Swerve beating Danielson and retiring Danielson at Wembley would be a career moment for him, and that would jump him to being one of the top guys in AEW history. And you solidify his title reign, you solidify his legacy. I think Danielson is going to make that move. I think Swerve comes out victorious on Sunday, and I think this will be the last Danielson match that we see.
Wow, and if I'm in attendance for that final match as well, that is something I will never shut up about, guys. But what about you, Anthony? Do you have a new AEW champion, or do you have the retirement of Bryan Danielson?
For me, this is the match that sells the show. This is the match that I am most looking forward to seeing. One of the things that Shad and I would talk about all the time, along with Clark on Thursdays, is that when Swerve won the title, the spark was missing. Like it didn't feel important enough. Since that time, he's now racked up wins against former world champions. And Danielson is the type of performer that wants to get back to this business. He went to AEW for two things. One, to check off some boxes to do things that WWE would not let him do. And two, is to make the new stars in this business. And Danielson doesn't need that title. He's already a first ballot Hall of Famer, no matter what Hall of Fame you look at. He had his WrestleMania moment holding up the titles at WrestleMania 30, 10 years ago. Danielson putting Swerve over is the right move. Swerve deserves this. Swerve is the future. Having to be able to say that you retired one of the greatest of all time in Bryan Danielson, and Danielson being able to go out on his terms. Unlike years ago where he got forced into retirement, he's going out on his terms. And I could see him doing that. Sting allegedly wanted to lose. They wouldn't let him. I think Danielson will insist. Danielson will want to go out losing, putting the next guy over. He did it with WWE on his way out. He helped Roman by doing the favor. I think this is how that's going to go, especially when they threw the career stipulation in. That's why I think Danielson will lose. Otherwise, it would have been the Washington show, like you said.
Yeah, I mean, I think we all agree it's one of the two. It's just he's always said his entire career, when he's done, he doesn't want to be fully done. He wants to be able to come back, as and when he pleases, but on a part-time basis. And this stipulation would mean that he can never, ever wrestle again at all.
Oh, because wrestling stays by stipulations,
No,
Ben.
it's true, but he said he promises to his daughter, so I don't think he's gonna break that one. Surely not. Otherwise, Nigel McGuinness might have a point, but but we'll have to wait and see. Indeed, it could go either way. It really could. And number one Superfly says, as for the grand finale, the lights go out and Shane McMahon makes his debut and reveals that he now owns AEW. Oh,
maybe he wins the Casino Gauntlet. I mean, he is the best in the world.
Oh, he just can't. Oh, if he wins,
maybe he chokes out Jack Perry too.
Yeah, I mean, the best in the world left the company last All In, and now the best in the world returns at this one.
We have Shantam saying that Danielson is winning. Come on. But TL3118 is saying that he hopes the ladder match is the match of the night. It could well be. It could well be indeed, because I know the build's not that great, but the wrestlers in it absolutely are. So I think that could... This entire card
I think it's Swerve and Danielson will be the match of the night. That's my guess.
The ladder...
Not MJF Ospreay?
No. I think this has the best story, and I think this has the two. There's too many stakes, and these guys are too good for it not to be the best match on the show.
The two best builds are the two best builds are the two matches that we talked individually today.
Yeah.
That's
true. Tony and Mariah.
I won't say Mariah and Tony will be match of the night in ring wise, but I think the build of it has been phenomenal. And yet, come on, man, it's Danielson, bro. Like I can't see a world where and it's Swerve too.
But it's Ospreay and MJF. I'm not ruling that one getting match of the night out, especially if it kicks off the show.
The problem with those other two matches is that there's probably going to be outside interference. I don't think there's outside interference with Swerve and Danielson unless they stick Hangman in, but with it being the main event, there probably won't, especially with Danielson's last match.
Salute to my good brother Soul and my good brother Clark. No, let's not overbook this one.
Oh, no. Dude, you guys saw that when I was like, you're both overbooking this? It's not that complicated.
Yeah, let's just do it how it is. Let's just let these two go and let the magic happen.
Backstage, we don't need that.
Yeah, I do agree with you guys on that one, but I am pumped for this show, and I'm going to say it going into it. I hope I don't jinx it. I think this could be show of the year, and I mean that, right? I think this is going to be absolutely tremendous, but we'll have to wait and see. This Sunday, me, Chaos, David, and Soul will all be there live. We'll all be giving our thoughts live as well on everything, and of course, there'll be a post-show. Shad, I know that you're on that post-show. I can't remember the rest of the lineup because I don't have the schedule on me. Kobe and Clark, brilliant. Well, make sure everybody tunes in for that following All In. We'll be back same time, same place tomorrow to talk a little bit of Friday Night SmackDown. And I'll be back for Allison analysis tomorrow morning as well. Thank you to Shad. Thank you to Anthony. And we will see you guys very, very soon. Peace.